Jitendra Bhargava, former Executive Director of Air India, joins us, as does Syed Zafar Islam of the BJP. He's also the non-official director of Air India. Kapil Kaul of CAPA also joins us. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the show. Mr. Bhargava, let me start by asking you, on the point that IndiGo Airlines made about the government entertaining the possibility of a carve-out of the international operations in Air India Express, because that is what IndiGo is interested in. They gave several examples globally of how such carve-outs have worked in favor of the acquirer as well as the company that sold the asset. Do you believe that such a carve-out is something the government should take forward?
Shereen, let's look at it from this way. From IndiGo's perspective, what they stated today, it was on expected lines. Now, the government is very clear that they want to get out of Air India, stake sale to take place. Now, I don't think if government is very clear that they wish to get out of it, they would try and create inflexibility in what a potential bidder may like. I would go along and said, yes, Air India could be carved out by the government so as to make it attractive for the bidders. Now, you can't be putting stringent conditions and then expect somebody to come in. What is best suited by a person who's keen on it? Because what is the other alternative with the government of India? Leave Air India the way it is, not finding a bidder, and keep infusing funds. Now, which is not in the national interest or what the government has proclaimed publicly, that they wish to put the funds in better areas of education and health, and not Air India where you can get somebody else to run the business. So with this clarity, I am pretty positive, with the response having come in, greater clarity lent by IndiGo on what they are keen on. This committee headed by the finance minister and the 4 ministers forming that high-powered committee would look at all this. And I would go along, yes, we do not want a situation where they are forced into taking something and then you find under the weight of this entity, you find even IndiGo struggling. Now, nobody would like it. We want Air India to become a robust airline, to prosper, to be regaining some of the past glory that we very often talk about. And that is only possible if there is flexibility demonstrated by the government.
And we will know whether that is the path the government adopts. As you rightly pointed out, that group of ministers will be putting all of these details together, but IndiGo making its intent very, very clear, providing its roadmap on how it sees things progressing for Air India if it were to get the deal going. But let me go across to Zafar Islam now. Mr. Islam, one of the other points that IndiGo raised there, and I know that this is a point that Mr. Bhargava has raised in our conversations in the past, is that, look, it benefits India to ensure that Air India stays with an Indian-owned entity. It benefits India not to get Air India into the hands of a foreign carrier. In my conversations with the Civil Aviation Minister and other ministers, what has been communicated to us is that all options are open. They haven't ruled out the possibility of a foreign carrier bidding for Air India. But what is your view? Should foreign carriers be allowed or not allowed?
Shereen, I am the current independent director on the board of Air India. So I do not have that flexibility that I can speak whatever I feel and whatever comes to my mind and what I feel. But what is more important for all of us to realize that whatever IndiGo had discussed today in their conference call is something for them to respond, but it is something unsolicited, because Air India has not requested for such proposal, and this is an unsolicited proposal or discussion made by the IndiGo management. Secondly, what is more important, that the government of India has expressed its intent. And it is unfair on Mr. Bhargava to say or state that the government is not is clueless or is not clear what exactly they want to do. When the committee has been formed,
I don't think that's what he said.
Committee,
I don't think that's the point that Mr. Bhargava was making.
You can play his video. No, you can play his video. He
he's right there. He's right there.
No,
he's right there, Mr. Bhargava. You want to respond?
It's not fair to say that government is not clear. Government. No, all I'm saying that government has clarity. The empowered committee will evaluate all the possible options to revive the airlines or divest the airlines. It is something government is working on it. It is unfair to even speculate at this juncture that government has no clarity or government will not have will be able to not do X, Y, Z.
Let me get Mr. Bhargava to respond to that. Mr. Bhargava, very quickly respond to the point that Zafar Islam is making.
let me reiterate. All I said is that government will not be putting stringent conditions so as to make Air India, when you are selling the stake, very difficult for a potential bidder to find it lucrative. This is what I said. I nowhere said that the government
Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that.
Okay.
Let me respond to
quickly.
Let me respond. I still maintain that what he said in initial remarks was clearly that government has clarity.
Let's
Secondly,
not argue
coming
about
back
that.
to Mr. Bhargava, let me tell you. No, Shereen, what is more important at this juncture? That government has option, and all the options which potentially can be evaluated, government will evaluate. And in terms of the flexibility or the stringent condition, what Mr. Bhargava is talking, I think what is more important for all of us to understand the intent of the government. Government wants what government wants has already been expressed by the finance minister, and that is something which will be pursued by the empowered committee of the government, of the ministers. And what it is important, let me tell you one thing, Mr.
No, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Shereen, one thing.
Yes.
Shereen, one last sentence. That Mr. Bhargava has served as a ED of on Air India or as a ED Air India. He will know that the strength the Air India has. He will also understand the valuation game, that what the valuation Air India carries. And I think the government will evaluate everything possible, not only the what is the debt available, what is the asset available, but the overall evaluation of the company.
Fully agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Mr. Bhargava, let me bring Kapil Kaul into this conversation. Kapil, the founders of IndiGo, in a sense, were also trying to allay investor concerns. One of the points, and going, addressing the valuation issue that Zafar Islam just raised, Rakesh Gangwal, they very categorically stated that, look, we would like to go long haul on our own if Air India doesn't happen, but we're never going to be able to replicate the kind of network that Air India has, get the rights that Air India has, and hence it's going to be a very different game if we were to go it alone. So from a valuation perspective, it's really going to boil down to the network, the rights, and according to Gangwal, also certain people and the human resources that Air India has.
Well, Shereen, first of all, good evening. I must confess that I had missed the first part of the con call, but it was a good masterclass on IndiGo's strategic thinking and what goes behind the framework. So it's quite impressive. I must confess that one came out very impressed with very focused thinking that they have. I think there are two outcomes which are very clear, that IndiGo will address the long-haul market with or without Air India. And the leverage they have is that they have A321s, Neos, long range, which they can take, even A320 Neos as well as A321 Neos, which can address what I call a medium long haul, up to 6 to 7 hours. So they have that fleet, so that they're going to address. And I am quite certain now that the next step would be the long haul LCC wide-bodied order, potentially A350, A330 Neo. So that part is very clear that they are going to address the long haul market. Coming specific to Air India, it continues to surprise me, frankly. First, there was an unsolicited bid, and now there is a clarification. I don't know why there was such an elaborate sort of a con call just done only on Air India. It to me possibly revealed that there is this strategic positioning from IndiGo's perspective in terms of Air India, possibly setting an agenda, driving a criteria indirectly in terms of what they would want to do. I thought that
that was very evident. That was very, very evident, Kapil.
I saw in your channel that the finance minister said that we'll go through a formal process before we draw out conditions. So it is perhaps preempting that. One thing is for sure that the criteria has two critical facets, and I think that was even surprising that came in the con call. There was a nationalistic flavor to IndiGo's interest in Air India that don't allow foreign airlines to participate in India's divestment. I felt that is very strange. I don't know why they needed to address this so openly.
Hang on, Kapil, because I
want to just add one more point.
I just wanted to one more.
No, I wanted to add one more point. The second point, apart from saying they don't allow foreign airlines, second was that it almost is basically going across to demerging Air India again, because the interest is only in international. I don't know how that is feasible given the bandwidth available within the government to do that, and the fact that we are going to do this in a shortest possible time. So I think the Air India's intent was just setting up the agenda from IndiGo's perspective, but a clear nationalistic perspective that don't allow foreign airlines, which frankly was surprising to me.
It might have been surprising to you, but I know that one gentleman on our panel is going to support that wholeheartedly. Mr. Bhargav, you are completely not in favor of allowing international foreign carriers to get into this bidding race for Air India.
Yes, absolutely. And there is no reason why you must get a foreign carrier to be acquiring Air India, which has been India's brand globally. Now, there is a certain sentiment of Indians attached to it. Now, all we are looking at is that Air India, instead of being marginalized over a period of time, gets on the northbound trajectory through professional management with the steps that the government of India is going to be taking. So if there is an Indian entity available, let's not rule that out, and if it is available, first preference. Now, that is what I had stated earlier in an interview to you, and I'm repeating it here, that my preference very clearly is an Indian carrier.
I think, I don't know, I maybe got it wrong, and I think government cannot divest 100% of foreign airline. So that's not possible. Yeah. Because then then they can't access the bilateral rights. So the ownership and control issue is critical. When we talk about foreign airline divestment, is in line with the FDI rules, which limits it to 49%. So if tomorrow any foreign airline comes in, and Indian or Indian nationals will control 51%. So it's very bizarre to say that by giving 49% stake, it will be a foreign controlled. I think Mr. Bhargav will know that if there is a 51% Indian national, it's an Indian company. I find it very bizarre. And I think the logic is unfortunate.
I fully concur with you. When I said that no foreign carrier, that's majority control. As long
but how can you get majority control, Mr. Bhargav?
As long as 51% is held by India, by an Indian entity.
Can I just make one point?
Absolutely no issues.
Yes,
I mean, I don't know whether... How can you have 100% for foreign airline and then you can fly long haul?
I think I would like to only say that there is no point speculating what exactly will finally pan out, because government is evaluating all the options, and whatever option which will work best for the government, best for the airline, and that is something which will suit as per our requirement, will something which will go for.
Very quickly.
It is IndiGo to make this unsolicited offer and even discuss on the conference call, but this is their discretion as far as Air India is concerned.
Completely out of time.
I want to just make one point. I want to make one point. That it will be a strategic mistake. It will be a strategic mistake to keep foreign airlines off. If the law says 49%, please make sure that we don't get into this nationalistic debate that it has to be 100% Indian. I think it will be a big mistake if we configure that.
Okay, Jitendra Bhargava clarifying, concurring with you now, Kapil. So you've managed to convert him, or at least as far as this debate is concerned. Zafar Islam, very quickly, Rakesh Gangwal suggesting that this could take at least a year. Is that what we should expect?
See, Shereen, IndiGo is making a statement on behalf of Air India and the government is something which is really unfair. How do they know that how much time frame it will take?
I don't know, sir. I'm asking you.
Something which the government will speak, how much time it will take. And all I am saying that government is working on it. The committee has been formed. Government has expressed its intent. Government has also said that we will evaluate every possible options. We will not narrow down on this conference, on this program, that what are the possible options are for the government. But when the options on the table will be there, government will evaluate every possible option, what is best for the airline, what is best for the government, and what best suits as per our requirement.
We'll get you back. Okay, we'll get you back on the debates as and when we have more clarity. Zafar Islam, Jitendra Bhargava, Kapil Kaul, appreciate you joining us here on The Big Story tonight. But